Traditional sound baths rely on light, ethereal tones to induce calm, but a heavy bass shockwave carries a different kind of power, a dark, gritty frequency that physically displaces the air. In the music industry, these sonic profiles occupy isolated worlds. The healing arts prioritize the airy and light, while the bass scene dominates the loud, visceral underworld. These two ends of the spectrum rarely occupy the same space. Producer Kandayia Ali, known as I Am Omni, recognized that for survivors of CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, soothing vibrations are only half the equation. To navigate deep-seated trauma, a listener needs to move through their shadow, the darker, unintegrated parts of the psyche. Processing trauma through sound requires a synthesis of these extremes, the grounding impact of low-end bass, paired with the high-frequency focus of esoteric tuning. The current landscape has specific boundaries. Traditional sound healers use therapeutic frequencies like 432 Hz to promote relaxation, but they seldom build a structured beginning-to-end narrative journey. Cinematic film composers create massive emotional arcs and storytelling. However, even the most evocative scores are rarely mapped to esoteric or spiritual systems. Then there are the bass alchemists. They use heavy low-end to explore the primal energy of the underworld, but they lack a framework for spiritual ascension. A specific void exists at the center of these three disciplines. There is no established genre that binds structured narrative, spiritual frequency, and visceral bass into a single engine. Kandayia Ali engineered a system to sit at this exact intersection. She treats music as a psychological framework, built to function as an initiatory tool. She calls the system Omni Ascension music. Its core framework is 13-gate frequency storytelling. The music functions as an architectural space, rather than a standard song. It moves a listener sequentially through 13 distinct phases, which Ali describes as gates. The journey begins with a shadow descent. Here, the system uses 808 bass, the deep sub-bass frequencies found in hip-hop and electronic music, to physically trigger and release somatic trauma stored in the nervous system. This approach utilizes physical acoustic mechanics, forcing the nervous system to confront psychological imprints that are often too uncomfortable to reach through quiet meditation alone. Following somatic release, the music maps to the 13 chakra anatomy, vertical energetic centers along the body used as a blueprint for recovery. The tracks follow a specific trajectory, starting at the base of the spine and pulling the listener's focus toward the head. Ali reinforces these physical stages with the archetypes of the major arcana. These 22 tarot figures provide a psychological context for the listener as they move through the different energetic gates. By layering physical base, anatomical mapping, and narrative archetypes, Ali turns an audio track into a literal roadmap for self-exploration. This level of structural detail defines Ali as a system designer and a spiritual architect, distinct from a traditional recording artist. To house this work, she established institutions like the Ophanim Society. The technical framework is built directly from her own survival testimony. She bridges ancient mysticism and modern music production by coding the mechanics of her own trauma recovery into the sound design. Because the architect navigated this shadow path herself, the system is built on first-hand understanding of how these frequencies interact with a wounded nervous system. Omni Ascension music establishes a new relationship between the composer and the listener. The audience transitions from passive observation into active participation. The latest manifestation of this interactive architecture is the Clairesonance oracle. The future of this lineage depends on the listener engaging with the music as a system rather than as background entertainment. Pressing play means entering a sonic temple, a carefully engineered environment designed for the listener to actively process their own internal landscape.